Welcome back to the Top Notch Documentaries YouTube channel. In this Israel Keys video, I should be focusing on the events following Samantha's abduction and murder, specifically the ransom money situation that resulted in Keys being caught. This is part 1, I hope you enjoy. Let's begin with the background of events leading up to Keys' arrest following Samantha Koenig's kidnapping and murder. Samantha Koenig's boyfriend, I'll refer to him as DT, told investigators that their relationship had been bumpy at one point, but had been going alright recently. When asked why the relationship was bumpy, DT stated that he'd been talking with other girls on Facebook and Samantha didn't approve. He showed investigators his phone and the text conversation that the pair were having on the night that Samantha was kidnapped. It appeared like they had been arguing. He had called Samantha, but she was busy dealing with a customer. He said whatever and ended the call. Still, he denied any involvement in her kidnapping. At around 8:30, DT had arrived at Common Grounds to pick up Samantha, but found the coffee stand closed and nobody was there. The interior lights were off and he had left his vehicle to look through the window of the stand. Everything was closed, and napkins and towels were on the floor and countertop, which surprised him, because Samantha would have tidied up the coffee shack prior to leaving. DT was fearful that attempting to open the door to the coffee shack might trigger an alarm. He was hesitant to try to open it because he might be accused of trying to break in. He assumed that Samantha had left, so returned to her house, where they had been living at her father's residence. DT attempted to reach her by phone, like he had done earlier, but there was no quick response. At 11:24 that evening, he received a message from Samantha. "F you arsehole, I know what you did. I'm going to spend a couple of days with friends. Need time to think. Plan, acting weird, let my dad know." He became skeptical of the text because of the word usage and bizarre texting style, not believing that it had been sent by Samantha. Not long after, at 11:53, a second text message sent to him read, "F you." At 3 AM, it was now February 2nd, DT had seen a masked man going through the vehicle they shared at their residence. Samantha's driver's license was taken from the driver's side, but he was adamant that nothing else was taken. When asked why he didn't report the theft and Samantha having seemingly vanished, he replied that he didn't think that police would do anything until the person had been missing for 24 hours. Half an hour after this encounter, an individual wearing a black hooded sweatshirt, sunglasses, a jacket and black gloves used an ATM with the card issued to DT. Investigators would soon contact DT to discuss Samantha's finances, likely so that they could start trying to trace any account activity since she'd been taken. He stated that he'd been added to her account weeks earlier, and the 2 debit cards had been issued for the same account. It had a low balance of $5. The cards each had different numbers, despite being for the same account. They shared the same PIN number. He had the card in his wallet in their shared vehicle. A search of the vehicle on February 3rd showed that it was missing. The card was being used by Keys. Investigators began to look into the possibility that Samantha had been kidnapped because of an unpaid drug debt. A supposed drug scam ruse gone wrong, whereby 32 pounds of marijuana had gone missing, totaling around $60,000. Investigators asked about Samantha's drug use. Her friends and acquaintances told them about her recovering from a substance abuse problem and that her occasional relapses were a common theme. This likely played further into the initial theory that this was a drug-related kidnapping. Investigators were following up on these tips and interviewing people who were involved in these activities, with these outlandish theories creating a fog in the investigation. Adding to the issues for the investigation were the proceeds being raised to heighten reward funds for Samantha's safe return. Evidently, the idea that Koenig had been kidnapped due to an unpaid drug debt had circulated around town. Raising these funds seemed to be the foremost goal. T-shirts were being sold for $10, with Samantha's face on them, and only half of the proceeds were going to the Safe Return Reward Fund. The reward money was being checked on multiple times a day, and it's tough to tell whether these were authentic Rescue Samantha actions or capitalise on the situation for self-gain type actions on the part of those running the reward money page. Either way, as the money rose, Keys was checking in every step of the way. On the 24th of February at 7:56 p.m, a text message sent from Samantha's phone read, "Connor Park sign, underpick of Albert, ain't she purty?" Attached to the park board below a flyer for a dog named Albert the Golden Doodle was a Ziploc bag containing a folded piece of paper along with a photograph. It was a ransom note. A latex gloved hand was holding on to the braided hair of Samantha in the picture. She was wearing eyeliner, and there was silver duct tape around her mouth and chin. An Anchorage Daily newspaper from February 13th was also shown. The note demanded $30,000 and indicated that in exchange for the money between 6 months and a year from receiving the money, the abductor would send clues as to how to find her. It read, "I may not use the card much in Alaska due to small pop, but as I will be leaving soon, I'll be using it all over." The note hinted Samantha Koenig as having been transported out of Alaska. It further read, "She did almost get away twice, once on Tudor and once in the desert. Must be losing my touch." Knowing that this would be the only way to catch the abductor and potentially save Samantha, $5,000 was put into the account that Keys had the card for. From 10:13 p.m. on the 28th until 12:28 a.m. on the 29th, the card was used at Alaskan ATMs to check the balance and attempt to withdraw money, which didn't succeed at first, as it was over the daily $500 withdrawal limit. However, 2 withdrawals were successful for $1,000 total during this time. The abductor travelled to 3 ATMs, and the abductor demonstrated, described as excellent preparation and patience in the selection of outdoor ATMs located in areas with sparse late-night traffic. They scanned the area thoroughly before exiting the vehicle and approaching the ATM. The following month, it was late into the evening on March the 7th, and the card was used in the lower 48 in Willcox, Arizona, to withdraw $400. Much more information regarding the abductor would come from this withdrawal. The car driven was a white Ford Focus, and the suspect was much more visible despite his attempts to hide his identity. The same evening, and multiple attempted withdrawals would take place. $80 was successfully withdrawn in Lordsburg, New Mexico. The suspect matched the same one from earlier in Arizona. A be on lookout was put out for the Ford Focus, and checks for flights and rental car records were conducted. Investigators believe that Samantha could be with the abductor. On March 10th, the suspect arrived in Humble, Texas and withdrew money from a bank ATM. On March 12th at 2:39 a.m, the suspect vehicle entered a bank parking lot in Shepherd, Texas. At 2:47 a.m, the suspect could be seen walking up to the bank ATM and conducting a transaction withdrawal of $480. Truck stops and motels close to Highway 59 were searched for the suspect vehicle based on the likely use of Highway 59 to travel north from Humble to Shepherd, Texas. This would prove correct because Keys was discovered to be in a motel in Lufkin, Texas. This was right next to Highway 59. Keys had attempted to switch his rental car around this time, but they ended up giving him another white Ford Focus. It is insane to think that if certain small details hadn't been altered, it is likely that he wouldn't have been caught. That was the end of part 1. I'll upload part 2 very soon. As always, thanks for watching.